Can anyone see me? I see I am live, but I'm thinking you're seeing a black screen. Can anyone see me or hear me? Oh, I think I got a yes. Both. You can see me and hear me. Okay, great. I'm not sure what's going on here. I can't see the screen, but that's okay. I don't need to see the screen. I just need to see y'all. So happy Thursday, everybody. You ready for this live? So today we're doing the DB Crossbody, and this is April's inspiration drawing bag. So if you don't know what that is, hop over on the Facebook group, and anybody who posts a completed DB Crossbody during the month of April, their name's going to be added to a hat. And on May 1st, we're going to draw a name from the hat. And whoever's name we draw wins a $25 gift certificate. So to my website. So it's not a contest. It's just an inspiration drawing. We want to get y'all sewing, right? We want to, springtime's coming. It's Masters time here in Augusta. If any of you are golf fans or have family members who are golf fans, you know all about Masters. And so we have that going on here in Augusta today. And actually the rest of the week, I think the weather's supposed to be kind of bad. But anyway, so today we're going to do the DB Crossbody. And I decided to do something different this time. We're going to test this. I'm not sure if this is going to work. We're going to try it. So y'all can kind of be here with me testing it and seeing if it works. I did do a few things ahead of time to just kind of get it ahead of the game a little bit, and wanted to make sure I didn't take up too much time. But I cut out all my pieces. And then the other thing I did, and this is the test, is I quilted. So I quilted both the front and the back pieces. Now, this is the Seafoam faux leather from my website. It quilts like a dream. Any of those solid faux leathers that you see on the website quilt beautifully. So I've been seeing a lot of blue and brown on the Simply Classic Inspiration group, and it kind of got me thinking, I think I'm going to do a Seafoam main bag, and then I'm going to use camel as my accent. So I actually used a camel colored thread to quilt. So anyway, the quilting pattern that I did, you'll see here, is I did 2 lines, a ½ inch from each other. Then I went 1.5 inches and did 2 lines, a ½ inch from each other. 1.5 inches, same thing. And I did it in both directions. And we get these really cool kind of crisscross pattern. Okay, so the thing that I am a little concerned about, and we're going to see if it is good or not, is having to cut a hole out in the middle of it. What I did is once I cut the hole, I went ahead and burned my threads in the front and in the back, just trying to kind of singe them so that it didn't come apart. Once we get our overlay on, we'll be stitching over those stitches. So I feel like it'll be okay then, but I was a little concerned about it. So I think it's going to work out. So let's see, we have Cheryl from Louisiana. Sandy finally got to catch a live. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Cheryl and Michelle say they love the quilting. Thank you so much. Roxanne, no, you are not late. We are just starting. We are doing the DB Crossbody. And this is April's inspiration drawing bag. So make one, post it on the group, and let's see if you can get a $25 gift certificate. The first, I'll tell you what kind of got me going on it is the first quarter, I saw so many of you post Roseanne's. It was amazing. And I thought, I got to do something. These bags are just so inspiring. So we ended up looking at all of the people who posted Roseanne's from January 1st through March 31st. And we drew a name, and Heather Post won. So congratulations, Heather. And she got a $25 gift certificate. So yay, hooray. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, let me put the camera down and let me see, hopefully I'm going to be able to tell where I put the camera. So like I said, I'm having a hard time seeing y'all. Let's get this down. And then if the camera's not good, you let me know and we will try to adjust it. Okay. I see it's teeny tiny, it's a little piece of the machine down here. It's really strange. Okay, is that a good angle? Yes. Let me explain to you how I did this. Sandra asked, is it possible to quilt and then cut out the pieces? So what I did is I did rough cuts. I cut it about 1.5 inches taller and 1.5 inches wider. I put some the 505 spray on, and this is just a by Annie's foam. It's a really thin foam. I put some basting spray on there. Then I attached the leather, faux leather, to the foam. Then I drew my lines and I went ahead and quilted everything. Once I did that, then I went back and I cut out the pattern because for a couple of reasons. I wanted to kind of center the pattern, and also sometimes you get some shrinkage when you quilt, and I am not a quilter, so I actually asked that question the other day of somebody who quilts, and they said usually you get between 1 and 2 inches shrinkage. I was actually surprised. This did not shrink that much, but I still think it's a good idea to go ahead and cut your pieces larger and then quilt it, and then go back and cut the exact measurements of your pieces. Okay. So, yes, Lane said, glad you're back home safe. Love the new pattern. So for those of you who haven't seen yet, we did come out with a new pattern yesterday. It's called the Leah Tote. It holds a 40-ounce water bottle, and it is a great spring summer bag. You know, here in Augusta, things are starting to heat up a little bit. And so I have summer on my mind, and I thought it would be a great time to release it. As I mentioned in the video, if it's a little large for you, because it is a tote bag, then don't worry. We're coming out with a little bit smaller version in the spring. So you will be able to see that. It looks like my camera has moved on me a little bit. I'm going to try to move you a little bit more so you can see the machine. All right. So Sandra asked, do I need to worry about the threads fraying? That's what I'm worried about. I think it's going to be okay. I think that once we put this overlay on, we're going to be over stitching all of these quilting stitches. So it'll kind of lock them in place and it'll be okay, is my thought. We'll see. So Michelle asks, she says, I'm not a quilter either, but a little quilting on some of the bags is a fabulous addition. Let me tell you, in Italy, there are a ton of bags that were quilted. Oh my gosh. And of course, there's a lot of designer bags there. We saw a lot of, the Chanel's and the Christian Dior's and the Balenciaga. Oh my gosh. And countless others. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. And the leathers that I bought were all from those houses. So I cannot wait to share those leathers with you. Y'all are just you're gonna die. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's start out by, let's put all these pieces aside. And let's get going on this thing. Okay, so y'all can see this, right? I think you can. I'm not sure you can. Can somebody tell me? Can you see this okay? You need me to move the camera? I'm sorry. I'm just having a hard time seeing it tonight. This has always done okay, but for some reason, it's not tonight. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut out my overlay. Now, what I did with this overlay is I cut a piece that was 1.5 inches wide by about, okay, y'all are saying it's good. Okay, good. By, and I can't remember what the measurement in the pattern. So then I used my leather punch, my 1.5 inch leather punch, to punch these rounded corners. Then from there, and you can't see because I put double-sided tape, but I drew a line down the center and then drew a line, like a little intersecting line, 3/4 inch in. And then I took my little round punch and punched 2 holes. And then I just used my rotary cutter and ruler and connected the holes to make these straight lines. So that's how I got that shape. Then what I did is I took the bag, turned it around, put the overlay on top of the bag and traced inside that circle because I knew that's the cutout I wanted. I found that I actually had to, once I cut it, I had to cut it a little bit larger because you could still see, you could see the face a little bit. And since you're going with 2 different colors, you don't want any of that face to show through. Okay, so I had to cut it just a hair smaller. So I did that, and let's make this step 1. Let's go ahead and I put some double-sided tape on here already. Let's go ahead and get this on. And get this sewn on. So Sandra asked, would you please share what cutters you recommend? I need a good set. I recommend that you go to a leather location or order from a leather location. It doesn't matter if it's Springfield leather, Tandy leather, any of those places. They all kind of get the same dyes and the same cutters. So CS Osborne is a great one, but they're all going to carry the same things. So one location I don't think is necessarily any better than the other, but pretty much any kind of dyes you get are going from a leather store, an actual leather store, are going to be good. Try not to order them on Amazon if you can help it, because I did that first time around, and the first time I hit it, it bent, and yeah, so I wasted that money. They're cheaper, but I don't think they're necessarily better. Sometimes you get what you pay for. Actually, you usually get what you pay for. Okay, so we have that overlay on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew around the outside. Hello, Jennifer. Jennifer Spears is on. Jennifer is one of the testers, and everybody needs to thank Jennifer for all of her hard work being a tester, because it's not always easy, I can promise you, especially when doing my patterns. All right, here we go. So going around this curve, I'm just going to, just to make sure it looks good, I'm just going to hand crank this. So I'm just picking up my presser foot every stitch and moving it just a little bit to get around this curve evenly. Okay, so here we are. Maybe one more, and then we'll sew this straight line. Now you notice I did not back stitch. I want to take these and tie them off in the back. so we're going to go back around this curve again, this other side, very carefully. And one more, and then we'll sew down and start in the same hole we started, or stop in the same hole we started. So when I'm through with the video, I will go back and I will link all of the products I'm using today. You can find everything on my website. I will also link the pattern for you. Okay, so I'm going to pull these through to the back. I think. There we go. Make sure it looks okay in the front. I'm going to tie this off. And then I always like to put a little bit of double-sided tape on there just to hold this down. Make sure the knot doesn't come undone. What's my stitch length? So I have a Consew 206 RB5 machine. Had this machine for about 15, 20 years, something like that. It has a stitch length of 1 to 10, so I'm using a 6. And honestly, I usually keep it at about 5 to 6, whether I'm stitching or top stitching, or it just seems to be a pretty good length. Okay. So there we go. I think y'all can see that okay. So from here, we want to go ahead and make our slip pocket so we can put our zipper in. So let me make sure I have the correct pieces here. That's for the interior. So that's the exterior, and I should have one more. I think I'm missing a piece, y'all. Hey, Terry from Florida. All right. One of my pocket pieces is MIA. Well, I'm going to have to go cut myself another one. I'm sorry. All right, I'm going to go cut a piece. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. No matter how much you try to prepare for these lives, there's always something, I can promise you. Okay, so I'm using this linen today, and actually we got like 10 new colors, or not new, we have 10 total colors of linen now in our store. I think we got 8 new colors in yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to take my zipper, and I'm going to put the wrong side of the zipper on the right side of the pocket. And put a few clips here. And then we're going to stitch this on, and then we will turn it and top stitch it. Be sure to ask any questions as we go along. I'm happy to answer them for you. All right, so now that the zipper is sewn on, I'm just going to flip this so that the zipper tape is flat against the lining, and we're going to top stitch that. Okay. So now that that is top stitched, we see the wrong side of the zipper, the right side of the pocket, and then vice versa on this side. So now we're going to take the other wrong side of the zipper and place it on the right side of the other pocket piece. And I'm just going to make sure that my pocket pieces are lined up. Okay, so what I mean by that is you don't want to attach it, and that's extreme, but you don't want to attach it like that. You want to make sure your pocket pieces are actually lined up. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to stitch this on, and we're going to top stitch it. So a little side note, our shop renovations are slowly coming along. We're to a point now that we have, we're waiting on the electrician, plumber, HVAC, that kind of thing. And then, of course, after that, they can put walls up and ceiling, and we're pretty close. I mean, I think we're probably about 2 months out, maybe, from being done. So hopefully by the fall, no promises, but hopefully by the fall, we'll be able to have our first class. We shall see how that goes. Right now, this week, nobody's working because it's Masters Week. And basically when Masters happens in Augusta, the whole city shuts down. So okay. So when we're through, we see the wrong side of our zipper in our two right sides of our pockets. And when we flip it over, we see just the opposite. So I'm just going to burn my zipper edges here, make sure that they stay intact, stay in place. And we're going to put our zipper pull on. And the zipper pull is over here. Hold on a minute. Now, one thing I will say, my crossbody strap, I put a little edge coat on it, and Cheryl, it is exciting. It is exciting. She said it's so exciting. I'm assuming you're talking about the shop renovations. It is exciting. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be my favorite part, I'm sure. Having y'all here physically so I can be talking to you and we can be learning together, because I'm sure I'll learn a lot from y'all. Okay, so as y'all know, I like my homemade zipper pull here the best. This goes on easily. And so from here, we're going to put a little bit of double-sided tape and get this thing set. So I usually use 1/4 inch, and I usually put it right along the side, the very edge of the zipper tape. Okay, just like that. Trying to catch your questions here, so if you have any, And I didn't answer. Ask again, please. So let's talk about Italy, and let's talk about Italian leathers, and let's talk about an Italian leather sale. Oh my gosh. So I have a poll out right now on Facebook trying to figure out what day is best for y'all. And it looks like Saturday's winning. So it won't be this week because, you know, Easter's this week, but maybe next weekend, we're going to have our live Italian leather sale. So I'm going to tell you more about it the closer we get and tell you how it's going to work. And it's just, I can't wait. I mean, y'all, when you see these leathers, you are going to just, oh, you're going to be crazy about them. They're very, very, the temper on them, some of them are a little stiffer than others, but for the most part, the temper is very soft. They're like butter. They're like, it's just amazing. I don't even know how to tell you. You're going to have to touch them to see yourself. Okay. So I want to make sure this is good and centered. Looks good. And we're going to sew around now the inside. Cheryl, after seeing your zipper jig, I made one for myself. Do you like it? I like it better than the ones you can buy. And I think it's the height. I think it's the, I don't know, or maybe it's the height of this. There's something a little different about it because I've tried some others and they're just not the same. Why do my zippers come out wavy? How can I prevent it? Okay, Rose, I think probably what's happening is you don't even realize it, but as you're taking your zipper and putting it on your fabric, you're probably pulling it a little bit. I used to do that with handles. Whenever I would take and fold the straps or handles in, without even realizing it, I was like pulling to lay it down nice and flat, and it was making the handle go wavy. And the same thing can happen with zippers. So just make sure that when you have a zipper and you lay it on a piece of fabric, that you're not in any way pulling it. You're just going to, and I like to use double-sided tape. You know, I use this 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape, which is somewhere right here. And it holds it in place so that it doesn't shift either. So when you lay your zipper down, literally just lay it down, kind of put it where it needs to be, and then use the double-sided tape and just push it down. Don't do this. If you do this, you're pulling it without even realizing you're pulling it, and then the zipper can go wavy, okay? So just keep your eye out for that. Michelle asked, how do you make the zipper jig? So this is my husband's creation, and it's just a fork that we bent, and we bent these two little prongs back, right, to get them out of the way. And then he drilled holes in the fork and then just drilled it to the board. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but it works really good. I think we might take some, he might make a few of these. We're going to So Magical in Tennessee, and we're actually going to Florida too. We're going to both of them, and he might take a few of these and just, you know, we'll just sell them just to have something a little different for y'all. So it's easy to make, but you need a vise when you do it because the zipper gets really hot. And then as you're trying to drill, it's going around in a circle. Anyway, this is my husband's creation, not mine, I can promise you. I told him what I wanted and he was able to do it. So, okay, Sherry asks, what fabric are you using for the pocket and is it interface? Newbie here. Yes, I am using linen. This is 100% pure linen that comes out of one of 3 European factories. If you burn this, and I don't know if y'all know this, but if you burn fabrics, is how you can tell the content of the fabric. You burn this, it is linen. It smells like wood. It is really amazing. And yes, I'm interfacing it with Woven Fuse 2 but you can then interface with SF101 or anything you have available to you. Liz says, I put a little bit of steam on my zipper before installation, helps it relax and shrink if needed. Liz, that is excellent. Thank you for sharing that. That is great advice. Rose, welcome. Madeline, hello I'm in North Carolina. Oh, y'all are talking to each other. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure I get y'all. Okay. Cheryl, you buy one for sure. Awesome. Are you going to Tennessee? Wow, thank you. That will be my husband's Easter project. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and sew this zipper on. So now we're going to sew on the inside. And let's see, I'll start over here. I'm just going to take this nice and slow. Do you think you can offer the zipper jigs on the website? I'm sure we can. Yes. I will get with him on that. He might be watching. If he's watching, Bill, if you're watching, will you answer that for me? Okay, so now these corners are really tight. And what I mean by that, it's a real sharp corner. So we're going to really take this slow and see if we can get around this corner. This is probably not a difficult bag by any means. It's really just a, two pieces box corner. This is probably the most difficult part. If you are interested in doing this bag and the zipper intimidates you a little bit, this part, it's okay. Just skip it. Don't put the zipper on. No problem. And in the pattern, it actually does not have an overlay on this zipper. It has a couple of cute little cutouts that you can put in the corners, which makes it easier. I'm just, like I said, I'm testing this quilting thing. Let's see how it goes. See how it does. Chris, would the Italian leather sail need to be skived? No. Now, some of it is a little thicker than others. There are a few hides. We were measuring them today. They're about 1 to 1.2 millimeters thick. A lot of it's 0.8 millimeters. I've already made a bag with it, and I did not skive it at all. And I was able to treat the handles just like you treat handles with faux. You take the ends, you fold them to the center, you fold it again, and you stitch it. That's how thin this leather is. It is amazing. And it is so... I don't know how to explain it except for buttery soft. It is just amazing. So the answer to that I would say is no. Now, if you buy one of the thicker hides, and we will be telling you during the sale what the thickness is, and I will tell you if I think it should be skived or it might need to be skived, and that way you'll know ahead of time before you buy it. Chris, can you move the yes, I can move the camera closer. It seems like it's like turning or okay, let's see. Okay. On my little tiny okay. See, it looks like it's moving on its own. Like it's possessed. Hold on, let me see if I can tighten this. It's still moving. Hold on. All right, let me try to move it up so you can see. Look at that. It's moving on its own. Why is it moving? think I have a ghost in my, oh, wait a minute. Okay, let me see if that helps. I think that did it. Okay. All right, can you see that a little better? Brenda, show it, please. I'm not sure what you're asking me to show. The bag, it's downstairs. I don't have it up here. It's really cool though. Well, it's the Leah. It's just I made it out of leather. So, like I said, I hope that everybody who wants to sew or try their hand with leather will be able to make it to the sale. But even if you can't, don't worry. We have other things we're going to be doing with the leather. So don't think that if you can't make it to the sale or you don't buy a hide, you're going to miss out, because you won't. I promise you. We're just behind the scenes organizing some things, trying to make sure everything is the way we want it, inventorying it all, and then I'll be telling you how it's all going to work and what we're going to do with it. Basically, my goal is to show y'all that leather is for everyone. And what I mean by that is if you want to sew with leather, you can. And you don't have to have any kind of fancy machine. You can do it. You don't have to skive it. There's ways around it. And I want to show you how to use it. So we're going to be doing some bags with leather. Can you all see that? Let me cut it out a little bit. And actually, I was thinking about next week doing a live. Maybe we do another DB Crossbody, but we do it with some of that Italian leather. So I can show you how it does. If you're interested in that, let me know. You can do that. Okay, so I'm just going to tie these off. Brenda, dang. Frederick, so that's good. Okay, excellent. Now we can see the stitches. Good. Okay. I'm glad you said something. I could tell something wasn't right. Hopefully next time they'll be a little better. I can be a little more prepared. I try to do better each time. Technology is very challenging sometimes. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just kind of burn these edges because it's on the inside. We're going to flip this pocket down, and we're going to clip the sides, and then we're going to stitch all 3 sides closed. Now, when you do your pockets this way, you're always going to have a little bit here at the bottom you have to cut off. It's usually about an inch. We'd love to see the tutorial for the bag made in leather. Yeah, it is. I'll have to get one of them, and maybe we can do that next time. We won't quilt it. We'll just do a regular DB Crossbody. I want y'all to make them. Put them on Facebook page. All right, let me see if I can give you a close-up of that. Not too bad. All right, so we're going to flip this to the right side. We're going to just pull this up, and then we're going to stitch right beside the zipper here, or right beside the main part of the bag on the zipper. When I get down to the bottom, I'm just going to turn it. And then Frederick says, beautiful. Thank you so much. Sheila says we need a preview of the leather. I'll tell you what, I think we are going to do a preview of it before the sale. Okay, we're going to either have some kind of slideshow, or we're going to do something so y'all can know what ahead of time what's coming. That way, at the sale, you're not trying to like rush in and say, I want that one or what. And I want everybody to be able to get some. And we have several hides of the same color. So it's not like we only have one hide of blue and it's only one. Some of them there's like only 2 or 3. Some of them there's like 12. I mean, there's a lot. So hopefully everybody can take part and get something. Okay, so there is our exterior. That's cool. I actually like that. I think that came out really good. So I'm going to just put my tab on here. Let's see. I think it'll go right perfect in the middle, right in the middle of that triangle. I don't know about you, but whenever I am in my sewing room, I lose everything. Even if it's right in front of my face, it is the most frustrating thing. Just crazy that I lose it. Nice zipper pull on those. Are those on your website? Yes, they are. These are called the teardrop. I only carry 2. I don't carry a bunch of zipper pulls. There's a lot of people who do. And a lot of people have some really interesting zipper pulls, some really cool ones. So I'm leaving that to them. I'm just carrying a couple, a flat, and then this teardrop. Okay, so my knife is over here. Let me grab it. This is just a craft knife. One of my favorite things. Okay, make sure you don't cut a hole in your pocket. I'm just going to put a couple little spots in here. And I know that y'all have asked me, a lot of people have asked me about these name plates. I get them from a shop on Etsy called Metal Things Hardware. The lady's name is Tasha St. James. And we designed them, and I'm sure you can get something similar with the initials, however you want. And she's really good about getting to you. All right. And I always put a little bit of double-sided tape on this. Did you bring all the hides back on the airplane? No, I don't think they would. I don't think they would have liked me. We bought a pallet about, easily waist high. So we had them shipped. But it came quick. I mean, everything's here. So right now, like I said, we're just inventorying, and we'll be getting it out to y'all. Any in that beautiful aqua color you were using tonight? Sort of. There is one that is, it's not really, well, it is kind of aqua. It's a little brighter than this though. And it's a lizard. It's really pretty. Now, some of the hides we are saving for makers boxes, makers kits, because here's my goal with leather. Is I know a lot of people either don't want to buy a full hide, they don't know what to do with a full hide, or they can't afford a full hide. So the kits are going to provide you with just enough leather for you to create whatever bag it is that the kit is. So it's going to be a lot more affordable and you're going to get everything you need, not just the leather. You're also going to have lining and that type of thing. And that way, if you want to try working with leather, you don't have to buy a full hide. That's my goal. Thank you so much and happy Easter. This is Michelle. As of Good Friday morning in Australia, I'll have to sign off. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful holiday. Janice says sold. Sandra said, will you be selling the leather as pre-cut rolls or whole hides? So the live sale is going to be whole hides. After that, we're going to be selling them just in kits. That's what we think right now. We may, depending on how the hide sale goes, if a lot of people want the hides, we'll continue with that. But we're not just going to have hides on the website because they're very difficult to photograph into, because every hide's different, right? So it's going to be easier to do it in a live sale. Oh, okay. So Brenda says a leather alley bee. Wait, just wait. Just wait. I have got the perfect leather for that. Oh my God. And every single time that I chose a leather, I thought about what pattern it was for. So, I handpicked all these leathers, y'all. And I have to say, I think you're going to be happy with them. Okay, so we sewed the bottom. I sewed the bottom together here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this seam and I am going to top stitch. And then I'm also going to put a piece of stabilizer here on the bottom. So my stabilizer should fit perfectly. And it looks like it's a little big. I'll have to cut it down. Well, no, maybe not. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, anyway, we're going to go ahead and stitch these down, especially since we have foam on them. They're really wanting to stick up. We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to stitch from the right side and just kind of hold the seam open. Nancy says, good idea. I'm assuming you're talking about the leather kits. I hope so. All right, we'll do this side as well. Okay. Is the camera still okay? Hasn't moved on its own, has it? So when you fit your decaville in here, what's going to happen is you're going to end up, of course, sewing your sides, and then you're going to box these corners. So you're going to take about, a half-inch seam allowance when you box the corners. So you want your decaville to be just beyond this box portion here. About a half-inch. And actually, mine might be okay. I cut it out by the measurement, so it's probably fine. I need to just trust my own measurements, right? So what I am going to do is just find the center of this so that when I fuse it on, it's centered on the seam. Okay, my iron is right behind me. Let me make sure it's hot, and then we're going to fuse this on. And I'm probably going to need to, I don't know if I'm going to need to stitch this on too. With it being foam, it's adhering to, it might be okay. I'll give that a second. So while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and get our other zipper pocket. Now the interior zipper pocket's small. It's only about 4 inches tall. So we're going to do the same thing with our zipper. We're going to put the right side of the pocket against the wrong side of the zipper. Hold on a minute, y'all. Looks like my computer's about to die. We do not need that to happen. Let me plug this in. Okay. All right, then we're going to top stitch this. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. So this is exactly the same thing that we did for this exterior zipper. Okay, and then we're going to top stitch this. Now I have to tell y'all that I usually do this part on my domestic machine, to be honest with you, because this machine, this industrial, doesn't really like thin fabrics like this. I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. All right, let's just burn this and make sure it's gonna not fray. We'll get our zipper pull on. How many places in Italy did you go looking at with Robert? You talking about my husband? LOL, that was supposed to say, did you go looking for leather? I was going to say, who's Robert? We ended up buying from 2 different warehouses. And these are wholesaler warehouses. They don't sell to the public. And they both were really great. We really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a fun trip. All right, let's put some double-sided tape on here. We stayed in Tuscany the whole time, and we were there 10 days. We did not have enough time. I mean, it was just amazing. We would definitely go back. All right, we're going to set that aside for just a second, and then we're going to take our I don't know what I did with my pieces. I must have cut pieces after I cut them. I must have done something wrong. Anyway, we're going to do a slip pocket. I have these 2 pieces that I don't really know what they go to. So we're just going to, isn't that terrible? Like I said, I think I cut things wrong. Okay, actually, let me go ahead and fuse this on. Hold on a minute. I got to turn around. My iron's right behind me. And I'm just going to see if we can get this to stick on here. And if it sticks on well enough, I might, which I think it's going to, I probably won't have to sew it. It's looking pretty good. So, yeah, I think this is going to work. Now, I would not, well, you can. I wouldn't put feet on this just because with it being a crossbody, usually it's just bigger tote bags that have feet. So I'm not going to put any feet on here. Okay, so we are, that's on there pretty good. So let's finish this part before we move on to the slip pocket. All you have to do is put your sides together. Sheila asked, did I go to Italy for vacation or for leather shopping? Both. It started out, let me just say this. My husband is amazing because I said, I'm talking with an Italian leather supplier. And I think I want to start carrying leather and show people how to use leather and show people that leather is for everybody, that everybody can use it. And you know what he said? He said, let's go to Italy. So we went to Italy. We're very fortunate. So, so we really, the whole trip started because of the leather, but we, of course, while we were there, we did a little sightseeing as well. So I'm just going to stitch these sides together. Tuscany's on my bucket list, says Cheryl. It should be. It is amazing. So we went, of course, you know, we went in March, and it was really a great time. It was still a little cool. It wasn't hot. I guess it gets really hot there. It wasn't, there was a lot of people like in Florence, but some of the smaller towns, we were the only people there. It was amazing. So the big tourist season didn't really start yet. So I'm going to open up these seams. So all you're going to do is you're going to take this box part, you're going to kind of push this down and line up these seams here. Okay. Now I've got a lot of bulk because I have foam in this. Typically you would use a stabilizer and keep it out of your seam allowances. I could cut it out, but I know I'll be able to sew through this. It'll be okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch across. Now you don't want to stitch on top of your decaville. So I'm actually going to stitch from this side and stitch right next to the decaville. Okay. And I know this is going to be hard for you to see because this is popped up right where you want to, look. Okay, so you see here, I think you can see that it's stitched right next to the decaville, not on top of the decaville. Okay. I'm just going to kind of trim that down a little bit. I could put a little double-sided tape on these seams to kind of hold them open. Finger pressing here. All right, we do the same thing with this other side. And you see it almost naturally wants to do that. Once you get one side done, you're just going to box that together. Okay, and then stitch it. Where did we stay? Now, we stayed in an Airbnb. And it just so happened it was the sister of the leather wholesaler Airbnb. So when I started talking to the leather wholesaler, they said, hey, you know, my sister owns this Airbnb. Why don't you stay there? And it just so happened I had already been looking at that place. So we decided to stay. And it was like a apartment. Like there was somebody living upstairs or somebody living downstairs. And then there was us. And it was pretty amazing. The views were beautiful. I mean, it was the whole thing was just a great. The only thing that wasn't amazing was the trip over there. We missed, or our flight leaving Atlanta was late by an hour, and so we missed our connection in Paris, and we ended up having to sit in the Paris airport for like all day. We were supposed to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get there till 10 o'clock at night. So, it took us like 2 days to get there, but coming back was a lot better. Okay, so now that we have these sides down, we have our corners box. We're going to turn the bag. Let's take a look. Sandy, I see you say you missed most of this. Not really. You can watch it again on the replay, and we still have the lining to do, so you'll do good. I did all the quilting ahead of time because I didn't want you to sit here and watch me stitch straight stitches. I was quilting like a mad woman before the show. Okay. Isn't that cute? Very cute. Okay, so we'll set that aside and let's continue on with the lining. So Cheryl asked, what is the bag structure like when using foam versus Decoville? It's definitely softer. I have one right here with Decoville. That's a good question. Let's take a look. So this one, yeah, this one is definitely firmer, harder, but this is a little bit thicker faux. This one's much softer. It is lighter for sure. Now I know we're not done with it yet, but I can tell it's going to be a lighter bag as far as weight wise. But I think it's going to give you, I mean, obviously it's going to stand up. It's going to be, you know, fine in that manner, but it's not going to give you that hard structure necessarily. If that makes sense. I hope that helps. Okay, let's move on. So we have our exterior zipper panels. We're going to make a pocket out of this. Your pocket, if you follow the pattern, you're going to have one long strip here. I don't know. I think I must have cut my pocket and then cut the pocket thinking it was extra and somehow messed that up. So we're just going to improvise here. I'm just going to sew down, sew across, sew up the other side. And this pocket's going to be way too big, so we'll cut it back. So y'all know the little trick. Let me trim this down here. When you have, you know the trick about folding to get a nice edge, right? Well, this time we have two seams. So the way you do that is you fold on this seam, fold on your stitches, and then you also fold on this seam. See, normally this is not a seam, right? Normally we fold the pocket, and so we have just one edge that we fold. But this time, since we have two stitched edges, we're going to fold them both. So we'll fold it just like that. Okay. So you see you've got these edges folded on the stitch lines. I hope y'all can see that. And then we're just going to stick our hand in here, hold that down, hold that fold down, and then just turn and pop it out. And when we do that, we have a pretty close to perfect edge without even sticking a tool in there. So I'm going to take my rounded ball edge and just stick it in the corner to give that a perfect corner. Okay, see that with no clipping at all. Hope y'all can see. I'm sorry, I can't see. Okay. Fold and fold. Stick that in. Just gonna do a little poke here. And then we got a bag or a pocket with perfect little corners here. So I'm just going to turn around, give this a quick press with my iron that's right behind me. Okay. And now let's put our accent on the top. Now let me see. We know the slip pocket's too big, so let me cut it back here. That should be about right. Is it straight? That's the question. Cheryl says, I used your turning technique for the, now I love it. Yes, it is. It is something I learned. I cannot take credit for it. It's something I learned from a lady who was a dressmaker. And she actually had a dress line for a little while. And you might want to look her up. Her name's Peggy Sagers, Sagers. And she's on YouTube and she still teaches. I mean, she's great. She's got a lot of different patterns, but she's all clothing. But that's one of the little tips that I learned from her many years ago. And she uses it for like collars, for the points and collars and stuff, and pockets. And it's just always worked great. And so I just kind of kept using it, and this was a perfect application for it. So I'm just basting this close so that when I put the tape on, I don't get a weird bubble when I'm trying to post it. So all I have is a little accent piece here. I'm going to put some double-sided tape on it, and we're going to fold this right over the top of this pocket. And this prevents us from having to leave a small opening and then making sure all 4 places are poked out right, and it just makes it a lot better, I think. And it gives it a professional touch with the accent on top. Okay. So is anybody out there going to So Magical, Tennessee or Florida? Because if so, I'm excited to meet y'all. Cannot wait. So Tennessee is in June, the end of June, beginning of July, and then Florida is in September this year. All right, so I'm just top stitching that on, and then I'm just going to cut these little edges off. even with pocket. And there's our little slip pocket. We're going to go ahead and center it on one of the lining pieces here. And because of the size, it's pretty small. I'm just going to, I'm not going to put any kind of divider. Okay, I always like to put rivets. Valerie says I'm going to Florida SME in September. Yay! Cheryl, I might try Florida, but still undecided. Well, I hope as many of you go as possible because I really want to meet y'all. It's hard talking to a camera all the time. And this is great. I love these lives because I can at least interact with you some and answer questions and all. Now, Valerie, have you been to an SME before, or is this going to be your first time? So whenever I put rivets, I'm always going to put on lining pieces. I always put some, make sure I grab the right caps here. I always put some Decaville heavy on the back so that I can make sure it doesn't pull through. So I always just kind of keep pieces handy. I'm just going to slide those on. And then we'll set them. And I have my rivet press right here. Okay. So that pocket's completed. Let's go ahead and put our overlay on the other one. Now, I did cut the same shape overlay as the exterior because I thought that would probably be a good thing to do. So let's find the center. And we're going to center this right in the middle here. Is there any benefit to putting the rivets in the pocket? I think there is, because pockets tend to get a lot of, people tend to pull them, right? Because they're going in and out of them all the time. And I just feel like a little back stitching in the corners maybe is not always enough to hold that. So I like to put rivets just to kind of give it a little bit of extra stability so that going in and out of that pocket consistently isn't going to rip, or either rip the stitches out or rip the fabric. Okay, so we got that centered. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to stitch around the outside. So I'm starting around this curve. All right, we're just about there. Maybe one more stitch. Pull this through the back. And then we'll continue on. Does anybody else do this hand cranking thing on curves, or is it just me? Oh, I feel like it's the only way I can get it to come out really good, because otherwise this machine goes too fast. All right, let's tie these off. Now on this pocket, we need to cut out the lining from the hole in the middle, because that's where a zipper is going to go. So it's going to be a little bit different, because the other one we cut the hole first. Okay, so just kind of fold this in half. And our goal is not for it to be pretty, it's just to get it out of the way of the window of this overlay. Without cutting the overlay. Just be careful you don't cut your overlay. Okay, so from the front, we can't see any fabric at all, no lining fabric. That's our goal. Why did you cut the other one first? I did that because of the, that's a good question. Why did I do that? I did that because I was measuring from the top down, to make sure I got the placement right on the front of this bag. And also because of the quilting, I guess I just wanted to make sure that I could burn those stitches, to make sure that I wasn't gonna have a problem with them. In the pattern, you cut out the square. It's a square, not a round. And you cut that out first. And then you don't have an overlay. You just put the zipper in. So I guess I was kind of thinking along those lines. You probably could do it, but you want to make sure too that, you can kind of see a little bit of the exterior. Actually, you really can't. I think maybe that might have been a better solution. As I'm sitting here thinking through it, Brenda, I think that might have been a better solution. I'd say if you do this bag, ooh, look at that. That was the end of my bobbin thread. If you do this bag and you decide to quilt it, try that. I think it might end up working out better. It's probably a lot easier. Good thought. Good thought. Okay, so let's get the zipper in. And then we have our zipper placket, and then we just put it all together. Now you notice we haven't done any handle connectors yet. Handle connectors go on last on this bag. So I've got a couple of threads here. Let me get them out of the way. These little curves are a little more difficult to go around than the bigger ones because they are so tight. Okay. So another thing I would say is that if you're going to cut a rounded zipper overlay like this, make it a little wider. I cut mine 1.5 inches wide, and it's not, I don't think it's wide enough. I think that it is, might have been better at 2. So make sure whenever you put a pocket in this way too, that your pocket's open in the back when you sew this. Otherwise, you're going to sew your pocket closed. Okay, let's tie these off. Rose, I'm getting a little bit of wave in this pocket, this zipper as well. I'm seeing it because I think the zipper overlay is so narrow that the zipper's shifting a little bit, even with that double-sided tape. There might be a little wave in that. So trust me, you're not the only one. Happens to all of us. All right, so we're just going to cut this bottom off, and then we're going to stitch just the sides closed on this one because we're going to use this pocket to finish up the bottom. We're going to turn through the bottom, and we're going to finish up. I'm a little tight on my zipper here. Do this side first. Cut off the zipper and then burn the edge. Sandy says, I love my vinyl string. The ostrich was my favorite. Yeah, that ostrich is awesome, isn't it? That bright, actually, I don't know, between the bright blue and that blue gray, those two are so pretty. So my zipper, when I put it in, I put it further to this side than this side. So now, as I'm trying to pull this back to stitch, you see I don't really have any room to stitch it closed up here. So I'm just going to get as close as I can and then kind of veer on and stitch on the pocket to close the pocket. Chances are, you know, when you open this up, you're going to put stuff in the pocket, not over here in the corner. So if this isn't totally closed right here, I think it's going to be fine. But just kind of keep that in mind when you put pockets in. Make sure you center them so that they are, you can close them on both sides. I hope you could see that. I was in frame. That's the only thing about lives. There's no editing. Yeah, see, I can't even get it. So I'm just going to kind of start here. So see my pocket, I couldn't stitch all the way up. I don't have enough room. But again, you know, the bottom would be closed. If somebody's going to try to stick something through the pocket over here on the side, it'll go through to the back, but nobody's probably going to know. Another thing you could do is you could put a little bit of double-sided tape right there, or you could even do a couple of hand stitches there if you wanted to. Okay. All right. Let's set our lining pieces aside because we need to do our zipper overlay, or excuse me, our zipper placket. Sheila asks, when using leather, is it better to use metal zippers? I don't think it's better. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. It probably is better, but I don't think it's necessary. I think it's common because a lot of the high-end designers, they're going to use metal, right? They're going to use metal zippers in all their bags. That just kind of gives it that look. But when I was over in Italy, I was in a shop, and the gentleman there, I think I might even post it on Mr. Moretti. It was Moretti Walter is the name of the site. And he had some nylon zippers in some of his bags, but he also had some metal zippers. So he did both. So I think it might have something to do with some of the bags were flexible. Like the zipper part had to move some, and he tended to use nylon on those. It would be my guess. I don't think it's taboo to use nylon, but I do think that most people who work with leather are going to use the metal zippers. Rose, thank you. I was getting very frustrated. I really appreciate you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, my zippers, you can see it's wavy. This one's wavy tonight a little bit. It didn't look like it was going to be wavy going in, but it is a little bit. I think it's because this is such a narrow, I mean, you have only a little ½ inch there. And if the zipper moves at all, sometimes it's just the way it is. Sometimes it's okay. I mean, we certainly want our bags to look as professional as possible. We don't want them to look homemade. We want them to look handmade, right? But sometimes stuff happens. So I would just say, you know, try with not pulling, making sure you don't stretch it. And then I usually don't have a problem with it. I think it's the zipper placket being so little. Okay, so for our zipper overlay being so little, we're getting ready to do the zipper placket. So what I do is I take my main, put double-sided tape on all the ends, ½ inch. On the main piece, I'm going to fold both ends over ½ inch on one of the pieces. I'm going to fold one end over on this piece. So the other exterior piece. I'm going to fold one edge over on both the lining pieces. And if you haven't seen this way yet, you'll see why here in just a minute. We're going to use some 1/8 inch double-sided tape, and we're going to put it on one of the long sides. And we're going to put it on one of the long sides of the lining. But on the lining piece, I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm probably going to go just about ½ inch from the edge. Okay. Now, on our zipper, we need to go ahead and angle it. So you can make a mark, or you can just kind of pull this apart, pinch your zipper, and fold it up along the zipper teeth. Hi, Dion. I'm going to put a pin in there, and then we're going to do the same thing with the other side, and we're just going to make sure they're even. Okay, so you can either hand tack this or you can stitch it with your machine. I'm just going to stitch it with my machine. Let me get this one down a little further. So the only hint I have with this is whenever I do this, I always do it with the zipper tail going to the back of the machine. Seems to work a little better. Okay, pull my pins out. And now we're going to, after I cut my threads here, we're going to lay this down on the right side of this zipper pocket. So peel this tape off, or the backing of the tape, not the tape. And you want to lay the zipper, the raw edges, like essentially the raw edges together. And you're going to, don't put it all the way to the end, leave a space. Now, Rose, this is where you don't want to pull and lay, okay? Don't pull and lay. Just kind of let it fall where it wants to, okay? And then once it's on there, I'm just going to kind of push it down like this and avoid trying to run my finger across it. So now on the lining, peel the backing off that. Maybe. There we go. And you want to line up the edges, the folded edges. Let me make sure my zipper is on here good though first. Okay, so I'm going to line up the folded edges so they're exactly right. And this is a case where a lot of times I'll use clips in addition to the tape because I don't want this to shift. And then I'm going to just line up the rest of the zipper. And again, I'm not going to pull, I'm just going to kind of lay it down. Put a couple clips. So now I have this edge with the double-sided tape on the back that's not folded yet. So now I can fold it and make sure it is exactly even with this edge here. Okay, let me say this. Sandra asked, did you get any brilliant ideas for new patterns based on the amazing bags you saw in Tuscany? Yes, yes, and oh yes. I cannot wait to get started. Some of those designs were fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, whenever I sew the zipper, I always, and this is another thing that I've just found is easier, I always sew it with the teeth facing down whenever I sew these plackets. It just seems like there's less of a bump. prevent your stitching from being a little crooked. This is going to be on the top of your bag. You want this is the stitching you want to be perfect. I've also, a lot of times we use my edge guide on this because I want to make sure I'm sewing exactly right. If this stitch is off, when you go to fold this wrong sides together, it's going to be hard to get it to be straight if this stitch is off, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Let me use my edge guide here. Put this right up against, and then we'll sew this on. So just double check it, make sure it looks good and straight. You can cut off this extra little zipper teeth here, burn it. Okay, and then we're going to fold these back on each other. Thread. Just kind of finger press them open. Okay, so back to the amazing Tuscany bags. So there is no shortage of patterns in my head that need to come out. I can promise you that. And that was even before Tuscany. But Tuscany just certainly made it much more like, so here's my goal. I am working on getting instructions written for all of my patterns. So the Roseanne, this DB Crossbody tote, and the DB Pocket tote are all going to have written instructions. And so once they do, they're not going to be cutting chart patterns anymore. It's going to be the full price. So if you have been kind of sitting on the fence about whether or not you should buy it, go ahead and get it because the price is going to go up once I write the pattern. But then you're going to have written instructions. So I need to get those done first because I've set that goal. I got to get that done. And then we're also going to have the smaller Leah that's coming out this summer. So that's already on the agenda. And then we'll be doing some amazing Tuscany bags, including the one I brought to me with when I went. It's a little hip / crossbody bag. That thing was amazing. We put everything in there. I mean, every single time we turned around, we were putting something else in that bag, and it fit. It was crazy amazing. So that's definitely going to be one of the patterns. Okay, so only one side of this is folded, right? Right now, we have a double-sided tape. We're going to match up the other edge of the zipper, and we're going to match up this edge with the edge that's already there. So we just want to make sure everything is nice and even. And I'm just going to, without pulling, don't pull your face fabric here, without pulling your zipper, just kind of let this lay right down. Then you want to, the side that still has the double-sided tape here, you're going to go ahead and pull the backing off and fold it even with the existing side. Okay. You want to make sure all these edges are good and even. Well, come on, zipper. We want to make sure the zipper teeth are about the same distance from the edge on both sides. This one does not look like it is the same. Let me pull this off and try this again. Okay. Now I've pulled it off so many times, my double-sided tape doesn't want to stick. So let's put some clips on here. Tell you what, pull that apart. It'll be a little easier. All right, now we can put the lining piece on. So Valerie says, this is going to be your first. You were going in November, but I got sick with RSV. Ooh. Well, I'm glad you'll be able to go this time. We'll hope that you stay good and healthy. Kathleen said, I saw your new linen today. The colors are beautiful. They really are. They're very vibrant. These colors are amazing. Okay, so I'm going to make sure my edges are lined up. And then I'm going to fold this edge over. Just like that. Okay, so now we're going to sew this on. And again, I want to sew it from the wrong side of the zipper. Use my edge guide. And then we're going to clip this zipper off, fold this back. And then we're going to top stitch this. Now, if you have a walking foot machine, this is going to be where your foot eats your zipper or eats your vinyl or your faux or your leather or whatever it may be that you're sewing with. So make sure that you have some protection for it. Otherwise, you're going to not be happy. And ask me how I know. It is horrible when you, just like that one little press of your pedal and this foot eats the vinyl, and it's just so sad. Okay, so we're going to top stitch this. And I'm going to use my leather piece to protect it. And if y'all have ever not seen my leather piece, I'm going to show it to you. See how that's all chewed up? That's from this foot. And that's just a walking foot industrial machine. I mean, this is how it goes. But you can see how many times it's saved me. So get yourself a little piece. Keep it by your machine. And right about here, you're going to want to use it. For one, you can see my presser foot is in the air. So we're going to use it as a hump jumper. So I'm just going to roll it. I'm going to stick it under my foot and also stick the edge of this underneath my project here. And I'm going to just kind of take this slow. Pull this up a little bit. It's wanting to eat it. Pull it back. And this is going to be the other place where it wants to eat it. Okay, and then we're going to turn. So this really came out not good. I want to take that out and redo it. See that? See how that jumped? That's just from that hump right here. And sometimes that just happens. So I'm going to just pull a couple of these stitches out and fix that because it's going to bother me. So zipper plackets, I'm going to tell you, I have a confession here now. They're not my favorite thing. But I get that they're necessary. So I'm going to, of course, I've got holes. I'm going to put a little steam on this and see if I can get the holes to kind of close up a little bit. All right, let me turn around and do that. So I'm not touching the iron on my bow. I'm just trying to put a little heat, steam, just a little something on it to see if I can get them to kind of melt back together. Not great, but I'm going to stitch from this side this time and go towards my hump, and I think that'll help. All right, let's see if that did better. So I'm going to pull these through to the back. Okay, it's better. It's definitely not perfect. This is not a perfect bag tonight, y'all. All right, let's do this side. And you could definitely do something different. You don't have to do a zipper placket on this. You could do like a little magnetic snap with a extension. That would be good. All right, let me get my protection here, which is where? Must have fallen. Use the back side of this. Okay. Turn, and you can always hand crank too. That never hurts. I'm gonna try doing that here. Okay, that one came out better. All right, so what we're going to do from here tie this, is we're going to put these zipper plackets on. We're going to put our upper lining on, and then we will sew this bag together. So as y'all see, stuff happens, right? We don't always make perfect bags. We try, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. All right, so I'm just going to find the center of this. I'm going to find the center of this. Have our lining pieces. We already know where the center is on those. I usually like to put my zipper placket on the piece with the zipper first, so I can make sure my pieces or my bags, my zippers are open in the same direction. Okay, so I'm just going to line up the centers. We're going to base those on, and then we'll put the upper lining on. So clip these in place, and then let's baste them on. And let me add my key fob. I almost forgot that. So I did do the key fob earlier, and I'm going to add it right here. Let's say I usually add it on the side where the zipper pull pulls to, so that you can just open your bag a little bit, grab your keys out if you need to. So I'm just going to kind of slide it in here. Put a clip on there. Okay, base these in place. All right, so now we'll put our upper linings on. So just go ahead and match these up to the sides. We're going to stitch, and then we'll top stitch. And I'm just going to flip this up, keep the seam allowance going towards the top of the bag. We're going to flip it up, and then we're going to top stitch. Right here is where I might need a little extra protection. Usually when I'm going to like from a thicker spot to a thinner spot is where it tends to eat. Now you notice I did not quilt the upper lining here. And the reason why is because we really don't need a lot of stabilization on this. I think it would get too thick if we had it. So I just left this plain. And of course the zipper plackets as well. All right, so we're going to clip this. Okay, so Crystal says, hi, Chris, I'm not familiar with industrial machines. Why exactly is it that the foot will chew up the fabric on the end? Good question. So what happens is on these industrial machines, if you have a walking foot, which I do recommend if you're going to get a machine, an industrial machine, get a walking foot. So your feed dogs are feeding your fabric through, and that happens on every kind of machine that you have, whether it's an industrial or domestic, or it doesn't matter what kind of machine you have. Those feed dogs pull that fabric through. Well, in order to pull the fabric through consistently from top to bottom, you essentially have a feed dog on the top too, and that's this walking foot here. So as I turn this, the walking foot comes up. It's like there's two sections to it, and then it goes back down. So what happens is that as you are feeding your fabric through, your feed dogs and your walking foot is now feeding the fabric through together. Okay. So what happens sometimes is that if the fabric is uneven, as you are leaving that high spot, okay, if you have some uneven, the back side of that presser foot will grab it and kind of dig in to push it. I guess that's the best way for me to describe it, but it will chew it up some. So the way to fix that is to have that extra little scrap of leather or something to protect your project just in case. And as you use these machines, you learn where that happens. It usually does not happen with cottons because cottons don't get chewed up like that, but leathers and faux leathers will. Okay, so we're going to flip this up and we are going to stitch, top stitch. Well, that doesn't sound right. Let's take a look. A bobbin. Bobbin was not happy there. Let's try this again. Okay. So with the quilting on this bag, this is my third bobbin. All right, I'm going to try this one more time. And I don't know where my leather piece went. I must have dropped it somewhere. Because it is missing in action. Here, I'm going to put a little piece of Decaville. Whatever works. All right. Okay, so we now have our lining pieces completed. I'm going to clip my zippers out of the way because I certainly don't want to sew those. And we are going to put these right sides together. Now, make sure that these upper linings are matched up perfectly, if possible, okay? I'm going to put a clip there, clip on the top, and then we're going to put a clip down to the bottom here. We're not going to sew the bottom seam yet. We're going to use that to turn the bag. So I'm going to do the same thing over here and make sure these are lined up. Now, as I have said in the past, nothing says, there's no rule that says you have to start sewing at the top of this bag or at the bottom of this bag. So therefore, I am going to start sewing where these edges meet, where I want to make sure that they match up. So I'm just going to put my needle in right there. Make sure they're good and matched. And once my needle is in there, now I don't have to worry. I know that they're good to go. I'm going to back stitch up to the top of the bag, and then I'm going to come forward. Now this lining, since this is all cut from measurement, this lining is not smaller, so you're going to have to take a little bit bigger seam allowance. So I'm going to use the 1/2 inch seam allowance going up to the top. Then when I start coming down, right after I hit this upper lining, I'm going to increase it to about 5/8 of an inch, just to bring that lining in a little bit, because we don't want a saggy lining. Lou says, sorry to be late. You're not late. We're good. We're glad to have you. All right, we're going to back up. Now, right about here, I'm just going to work on increasing my seam allowance. Back stitch real good here at the end. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I hope that everybody is going to have a happy holiday this weekend. Okay. I'm going to cut these seam allowances down. And we're going to not cut to the top. We want to cut just beyond this bulk right here. We want to keep these big, these seam allowances bigger, because when we open the bag, we want to make sure we have enough to sew. So I'm just going to trim, trim, trim. And then right here, I'm just going to kind of veer off. Same thing. Okay. Let's get the exterior. And I think I want all my zippers to go in the same direction. So let's see. Go this way. I'm just going to slide this right over. Let's see if this lining fits. So match up the side seams first. I'm going to clip those in place. Match up this side next. And because your lining is narrower, it's going to be a little tight to do it this way. But then you only have to pull the bag out the bottom, and you don't have to actually turn the exterior. So I actually like doing it this way a little bit better. All right, and then we're going to see if we can get this to fit in here. I think it's going to work. So while we were in Italy, Gloria, we just bought leather. Italy is huge on leather. If you say the word faux or fake over there, they like have a heart attack. So, but I have purchased some faux leather, and that is on the site. And then we have a huge shipment coming in probably mid-June of faux in all kinds of different colors and styles. So it's going to be good. You have a good mixture of different textiles you can use. Okay, so that fit pretty good. And so now we're just going to stitch around the top. And this is going to be hard for you to see, I know. So just hang in there with me. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Gloria says, I'm new to this channel. How do you order your patterns, etc.? Julie, if you could link my website for her, you can buy all the patterns on the website. And let me explain something about the patterns too. Somebody asked me today, emailed me and asked me, she said, there's so many different variations of patterns. Why are there so many? And the reason why is because I'm trying to please everybody. I know that some people like to cut for measurement. Some people like to cut, have pieces for all of their cuts, even their square and rectangle. And she was specifically asking about the alley B. We have a full size alley B pattern, and then we have an 80% alley B pattern. And both of those are the full pattern. The instructions are no different. It's just the pattern piece sizes are smaller on the 80%. Then if you would like to purchase the square pieces as well, you can do that for any of the patterns. But here's what you need to do. Buy the pattern first, and there's a coupon code in the patterns to get the square pieces for free. So I have the square pieces at a cost on the website in case somebody says, oh, I'm just going to buy this and make the pattern, you know, they're going to have to pay for it. But if you have the pattern and you want those square pieces, you're not going to have to pay for it. Just use the coupon code in the pattern and you can get those at no charge, if that makes sense. So you've got, make sure when you go to buy the patterns, you read exactly what they are. And I have little banners up in the right-hand corner of each pattern so that you can see exactly what you're getting. The website is simplyclassic.net. So just a reminder, this is the April inspiration drawing pattern. So join the Facebook group. It's the Simply Classic Inspiration Facebook group. I will link that in the description after the video. And even if you don't post, it's worth being a member because there are so many people who post bags and they are so inspiring. A lot of times I look at those bags and I think, oh my gosh, you guys are so talented. So anyway, if you happen to post a completed DB Crossbody during the month of April, your name's going to go in the hat for drawing. It's not a contest. It's just an inspiration drawing. So we're just trying to, if you make the bag, want to give you an opportunity to win a $25 or get a $25 gift certificate to my website. So it's not about the best bag wins or anything like that. They're all gorgeous. It's just to kind of give back. Okay. All right, so we have this stitched. I do not cut the seam allowance, okay? I don't cut the seam allowance because I want to give enough substance for my top stitch to hang on to. The only thing I will do is cut out these little triangles for where the seams come together, because that will cut out some of the bulk. Okay, so I'm just going to snip these off. And especially in here because of the foam, since we quilted it. So just snip, snip, snip. And snip these. Okay, so now all you have to do is pull the bag out the bottom. So I will actually fold this around and clip this top, kind of push out as I do it. So push the seam out because I want the seam to be at the top. I'm going to make sure that these seams on the side are open when I flip this here. You can kind of roll the seam. You notice we still haven't put strap connectors on yet. This would be a really great bag. I saw somebody who used these heart strap connectors on their bag. And what it was a Roseanne. And after she got through with the bag, she realized she forgot to put the strap connectors on. So she used these that you could just attach. They were so pretty. They were so gorgeous. So this would be a great option for you to do that. So I'm just clipping as I go here. I'm just making sure the seam is out. All right, and then let me fold this in. Make sure that the lining looks like it's going to fit okay. Cute. So from here, you're going to top stitch. Now, usually I top stitch on my cylinder arm. We're going to venture and we're going to top stitch on this machine tonight because we need to put our strap connectors on and we need to top stitch before we do that. Okay, so here it goes. Let's see, yes, so this is the DB Crossbody. So I don't want to start this in the front. I'm going to start it probably on the side here. And this is a place where it's a little thick, so it may be that your foot eats, so just be careful. And, you know, the good thing about not using decorative light is that this bag is really pliable, so you can really turn this around and get this to lay flat as you do your top stitching. So it is a bonus of using some foam instead of decorative light. So I'm going to take a couple stitches here and get my little piece of Decoville to put back here to protect it, because that might not be good. Okay, I'm just going to keep pulling it. Hopefully y'all can kind of see this. Okay, and just slowly pull it in the front, try to lay it flat in the back. I'm sorry, I know you can't see this with this popping up. So we're getting to the next side seam here. So I'm going to put some protection back here. And we're going to top stitch across the front. Almost done. You'll be able to see again, sorry. All right. Clip these off. And we have it all top stitched. And even though this is a small bag, that was not tough because it was not Decoville Light, it was foam. So we want to go ahead and take our clips off here. Let's close up the bottom of this bag. So open up your zipper pocket on the inside, pull the lining out of the zipper pocket, okay? Then reach in the bottom of the bag and pull the bag lining out the pocket. Let's go ahead and match up the bottom. I'm going to sew the bottom first, and then we'll box the corners. We'll just do all this through the pocket. Now, I recently bought a small, is that Liso iron, so that after I do this, I can put that iron on the inside of this bag and iron it. So we're going to take a 5/8 seam allowance down here because we had a 5/8 seam allowance down at the bottom of these side seams. Okay, from here, we're going to go ahead and trim this seam allowance back. Now, if you follow the pattern, you would have already looked at putting the strap, I think on the pattern, the strap connectors go on before you do this. So open this up just like you did when you boxed the corners on the bottom. Match your seams here and nest the seams. Now what that means is that this seam allowance is going to go in this direction and this seam allowance is going to go over here in this direction. So it's not super bulky. We're going to clip this. Go ahead and clip both sides of them, or both box corners here. And then we're going to stitch. So I'm going to open this up. The only thing you want to make sure is that when you nest, this bottom seam is going in the same direction on both sides. All right, and we're going to stitch this. Oops. All right, this is so hard. I know y'all can't see, I'm sorry. Oh, this machine is not happy tonight, is it? Not sure what's going on, but this bobbin keeps getting messed up. Yeah. Try this one more time. Okay, here we go. All right, we're going to trim this little bit off here. We're going to do the other one. And then we'll close up that zipper pocket. And then we'll put the strap connectors on. I'm going to rivet those on. And I actually have, I cut those and used some edge paint on them already. We're going to attach them a little bit different place this time around. Golly. Y'all are seeing all of the things tonight that could go wrong. I see there's a thread down in there. That's what it is. Okay. We're so close. We're so close. Make sure I hold these threads. All right, here we go. Hopefully last time. Hooray! All right, we're going to cut this down. We'll get rid of all this mess. And then we're going to stuff this lining back in the bag. I'm going to make sure it all looks like it's going to fit okay, and it looks good. So now you're going to take the lining, the pocket lining, and you're just going to fold back about a ½ inch, quarter to a ½ inch, and start clipping it. Now you could press this before if you wanted to. I usually don't worry too much about that, but you can. The good thing about linen is that it does finger press well. All right, so we're going to top stitch this closed using just a scant 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure I hold this bobbin thread. see Nancy suggesting a hammer for the side seams. I have used that before. Yeah. Especially when working with leather. Just hammer them down. It really is amazing at how much that helps. All right, we're going to stick the pocket back in, kind of push those edges out. This is a very cute little bag. And it really doesn't take that long to make. I've just been talking too much. Between that and my little problems this evening. All right, we'll zipper that up. And it's wrinkled because I just turned it, but let's see if you can see that. Kind of, sort of. Turn my light. Believe it or not, I do have light shining on me. Here. Maybe that'll help. Okay. So let's go ahead and put the zipper pull on. And then I'm going to go grab my strap adjuster, excuse me, my strap connectors and my crossbody strap. Not bad. Considering it's been a little bit of a difficult night. Okay, so I will cut the zipper back. It doesn't need to be this long. I'll cut it back and I'll put a zipper end on it, and then that will take care of the zipper. So I'm just going to stuff that in the bag for the moment. And I'm going to go get my strap connectors. Okay, so these were over drying, and I did do it in the camel. So all I did for these strap adjusters, or these strap connectors this time, is I just cut 1 inch wide. I used my leather punch for the edges. I started out by gluing 2 pieces of faux together, wrong sides together. And then I cut it all out at the same time. These are 2.5 inches long, okay? And on the original pattern, this kind of went on the side here, and you see how long this connector is. I can't remember off the top of my head what the measurement is. Hopefully y'all can see that. But see how it kind of folds back on itself. It's kind of a little decorative touch. I want to do something different this time. I want to see if this is going to work. I just want to attach this on the bag like this. So I have these O-rings that I'm going to use. I'm just going to slide that on. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure you don't punch through any stitching, right? You don't want to punch through your side seam because that'll come apart. You don't want to punch through this seam here because that'll come apart. Don't punch on your top stitching. So you have to be a little strategic and actually put it slightly off to the side. So if I'm going to put this one slightly off to the side over here to say this side, then I'm going to put this one on the opposite, slightly off on the opposite side. You know, actually, let's like put it off center like this. Let's do that. That's cool. Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay. So I'm just going to fold these in half. And actually, I'm not sure I like these O-rings. They're sticking down a little too far. I'm going to go get some D-rings and try those instead. found my leather piece. It's on my ironing board. Okay, so see, since these are flatter, I think they're going to work a little better. Yeah. So I'm going to put one on the back side, and I'm going to put one on the front side, and we're going to punch those in. So I have my leather punch here. Okay, so Lou says, interior looks great. Why do you use lining or linen for your lining? And what interfacing do you use with the linen? So linen is just a personal preference for me. I feel like linen is a more, what's the right word, sophisticated, more classy fabric than cotton. So I like to use linen for the bag linings. I just feel like it gives the bag a higher end feel. Just personal preference. I use just regular, whatever kind of interfacing you typically use on cotton or anything else you might use. So that would be Woven Fuse 2, Woven Fuse, SF101, whatever your favorite interfacing is, you can use on linen. I like the way linen behaves too. I like the way it lays. Once you put, I mean, linen is easily wrinkled fabric, right? We all know that. But once you put interfacing on linen or any fabric for that matter, it does help retard the wrinkles. It does help, give it a little more stability. That's the whole reason why you put interfacing on fabrics. So if you've never tried it before, just give it a try, see what you think. I think you're going to like it. And I don't necessarily, like for instance, for the Leah tote that we just released, because it's a water bottle tote, I use waterproof canvas. Now, I did use linen in the last, in the very first one I did. And it turned out great. It turned out fine. But I just felt like waterproof canvas might have been a better option just in case your water bottle leaks. So I'm going to go ahead and put my D-ring on and just kind of mark where this is going to go. So I know I want it to go, again, below the top stitching. I'm going to use my pen to, if I can find my pen here, to make the mark. Make sure it's correct before I actually punch it. So it works out because it's actually falling right in between some of my quilting. So we're just going to punch right through. So we're punching through the face, we're punching through the upper lining, punching through the whole thing. And I'm going to use a super duper big rivet. These are actually 12 millimeter rivets. Let's go ahead and, oops, wrong side. Go ahead and put it through because we're going through quite a few layers here. All right, and then when I do this side, I'm going to do it on the same, this left or right hand side here. It's opposite this, but it's. So let's see if I can manage to get it so it's not on quilting here as well. Okay. Just off to the side. So let's punch a hole. get one of our 12mm rivets. Get it through. And then we will go ahead and set those. In the meantime, I have my strap completed. So I'm going to first start out by putting my strap adjuster on. Now we carry the wide mouth strap adjusters on the website. It really works well for these faux and even the leathers. So I do have some of the others just in case you need them, but for the most part, I've been always using the wide mouth. I always look at my ends too to see if there's one end I like better than the other end. And I put the end I like less in behind this strap adjuster. So I'm just going to fold this back. Now you can sew this if you'd like. I usually just use rivets. So I will set that. And then we'll take the other end, put a swivel clasp on there. We'll put this end up through and down the other side. You know what? I am going to go ahead and set this before because it is easier. Let me go ahead and bring this since I have it right here. This is a grommet press from Gold Star Tool. There's a lot of different companies out there that carry them. I don't think one is necessarily any better than the other. I would just go with one. Just make sure you buy the dies from the same company because otherwise they may not fit. Okay, so that's set. So now we're going to put the other end up and down the other side of the strap adjuster. Oops, sorry. And then we'll put the other swivel clasp on the side. And if your hole is not exactly in the middle, you can actually cheat it a little bit by repunching the hole and your rivet should still be fine. All right, we are done. Go ahead and set these two. Stand up for this one. And one more. All right. I'm going to zoom you out. And look, Rose, even this zipper's a little bit wavy right here. See, it's not bad when you push on it, but I'm going to try to put a little heat on that too. Okay, so here we go. The DB Crossbody. So again, make a DB Crossbody, post it on the inspiration group. Your name will be added to the drawing, and on May 1st, we will pick a name, and you'll get a $25 gift certificate to my website. This faux is sold on the website. You can see it quilts and embroiders beautifully. This is the seafoam color. This one here is the camel color. The linen was the natural color linen, and all the different hardware you can get from me, or you probably have it already. But anyway, until next time, happy sewing, everybody. Good night and happy Easter.